What's up everybody, welcome back to the vlogs. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I edit my videos. So before I get started on my editing workflow, I just want to talk about some basics. So in terms of how I edit, I use my MacBook Pro 2017. And in terms of my camera, I use a Canon M50. I just recently got it. I have an external mic, I think it's a Movo mic, and then a tripod down here. It's a Photo Pro tripod, not a GorillaPod, because those are kind of expensive and I don't get the money. And then in terms of editing software, I use Premiere Pro. And throughout this video, if I miss anything that you guys might want to know, just comment them down below and I promise I'll answer them. Alright, now let's open our little laptops. So what happens is after I finish filming a vlog or I finish filming a video, a sit down video like this, I use this little thing. It's an SD card reader. I plug it in and then I transfer all the files into folders. You guys can see that I have like vlog, number, or whatever. And so I pretty much compile them all into whichever episode they're gonna be at. Let's open up this bad boy and get started. First thing I do is I start a new project, vlog 15, and this vlog is actually going up tomorrow on Friday. So I just take all of this, I transfer it over, and then it's going to import the files. And so what I'm also going to do in the process is I also took some clips on my phone, so I'm just going to airdrop all the clips from my phone over to my MacBook. Pretty much all of this is the party vlog, so I'm just going to take all this, share to Siedmann's MacBook Pro, and it should be 12 clips. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to set up sort of the things that I use in every video. So, you know, the little cinematic bars for my sequences. So I'm gonna go to new color matte and then just choose black, and then I usually name it Cinebars just so it's easy for me to identify. Another thing that I do is I go to color matte again. So whenever I have a talking sequence like this in a life journal episode where I'm vlogging, I usually put a blue frame around it, and then I put a time code in the clip. That's another thing that I have to add, and it's a very specific color, and then I usually just title that BG for background. And then in terms of the iPhone clips, what I do is I go to downloads here, I just drag and drop. I think we're good to go. So after all that has been prepped, I just dive right in. I usually start by dragging the very first clip. So whenever I make any type of video, I usually like to have some sort of intro to, you know, hook the audience. You remember back in the days whenever you'd have to write papers and they talk about, oh, make sure you have a hook at the very beginning. It's kind of the same thing, and I usually like to do it to a specific song. So I'm gonna go look for a song that I could possibly use. Alright, so I think I found the perfect song, Rain Dance by Manila Gray. And I know this is gonna be brought up a lot. I don't care to be making money off of my YouTube channel right now. I'm just doing it for fun. So in terms of music and copyright issues and all of that, I just pick songs that I like. I pick songs that I think would best fit the context of the vlogs that I make. And I think YouTube has done a great job where they don't necessarily need to take the whole video down. What happens is you're just not eligible for monetization, but you're still able to post your video. So that's pretty much what I do. Pretty much all my videos are not able to be monetized, but at this point in my YouTube channel anyways, I don't have enough YouTube watch hours to even be monetized. So I'm kind of just like, hey, whatever. Now that I downloaded the song, as I just find it, Rain Dance down here, I just drag it. In terms of making the workflow really easy for me, if you guys look at this cursor right here, right now it's at like pointer click mode, so I can like move stuff around. But if I hit C on my keyboard, I then go to like cut mode, and so I can cut clips like that. And then if I want text, I just hit T, and then I'm able to write text. And so I actually need this feature, life journal episode 14. The text clip shows up here in terms of like where you want it to show up, but then here is where you do all the editing, and I'll come back to that later. I also use Command Z for back. See how this undoed? I can hit redo here, and then I also hit Command S to to save. With anything you do, make sure you're hitting that save button continuously as often as you can throughout the whole process, or else you're really gonna hate it when something happens and you're almost finished after putting in hours and hours of work and your stuff gets deleted and you have to redo it again. I've been there. I know people have been there in different scenarios. You don't want that. Save your projects. First thing I do is I edit to the music, so I'm just gonna be messing around with stuff and I'll show you guys what I end up with. And before I did anything else that I wanted to show you guys, here's like the sort of rough copy of it. Alright, so like I said, that's the rough copy. I usually do some more stuff, but I wanted to show you guys what I do. I like all the noise right here, but after that I sort of want to get rid of that. The audio clips and the visual clips are usually connected, so what I do is I hit unlink and I delete all the audio clips after this first one, and then I go to effects, tab, audio transitions, crossfade, and I do an exponential fade. Usually I like to trim the beginning of clips on the beats, but because of the way that the music is sort of it sounds kind of disoriented, I sort of kept it offbeat. So the end of this clip, I also do the same thing here where I add an exponential fade and then I extend that. And then in terms of the text, all the text that I use for my videos, I center the text. I move it down so it's sort of in the middle. I make sure it's a little bit smaller, so 65 is good. And my favorite text on Premiere is Athelis, bold. If you guys watch my vlogs, you guys know that that's the text that I constantly use for anything. Let's see the final version. This isn't aligned perfectly, so I'm just gonna fix that. Perfect. Oh wait, it's actually not Life Journal episode 14. It's Life Journal episode 15. That would have been bad. So then I add the next clips. And so another thing of my vlog is, like I said, whenever the camera is pointed at me, I make it like a self-entry. I put the background underneath the visual clip, and then in order for it to show, I just make this a little bit smaller. 72 is usually my perfect number. And then in effects, I've sort of added an effect where I can just add a time code to this and then it automatically shows up to the top left. If I don't add these effects, like these presets, I would have to physically, manually do it every single time. Like 15 videos in, that's gonna be very tedious to have to keep doing again and again, so it's easier if you just make a preset and then you just drag and drop. And so I don't like how that audio cuts in, so I'm going to crossfade in. We just threw out the trash. And so I'm just gonna cut this up so I don't take too long saying whatever it is I need to say. So now that I edited that section, I usually do like a little cinematic, and that's the time that I use these cinebars. Put them up here, and then I extend them, because I know the clip will probably take long. I just look for some clips where I can sort of convey that we're going, you know, to these places, and just do it. Whenever I'm editing like a sequence like this, because these cinebars are closing off the very top and the very bottom, sometimes I need to recenter the clip just to make sure that you see everything that I need you to see. And so that's fine. Just like with the other stuff, I'm gonna go re-edit this, so I'll see you guys in a few. Alright, so I did just a little bit of editing and I came across some things that I wanted to show you guys. So starting from me talking. Errands to run. So we're gonna go do that before the events of tonight. I faded in the music just like I faded out these. I did the same thing, but at the beginning of this clip. It seems like natural to just start the song here when the actual sequence starts, but it has more of an impact and it becomes more fluid when it transitions in from me talking. So we're gonna go do that before the events of tonight. And if you guys see here, I have this little mark, and the way you can do that is you just hit a clip and you just hit the M button on your keyboard. What that does, it marks certain parts of the clip for you. Why I used it is because this is sort of the downbeat, and that's when I wanted the clip to come in. So I marked that and I just slid over this clip until that mark matched the beginning of my sequence. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys is I like to do a lot of slow motion in these videos. So slow motion really starts from the camera itself. You have to go into the settings, and usually cameras shoot in 23 frames per second, or you can just round up and say 30 frames per second. So what that means is that per second, this is how many like pictures the camera is taking to sort of get that movement. So like as I'm moving right now, it's taking a bunch of pictures, and right now it's set at 30 frames per second. So what that means is that as I'm moving, it's getting like 30 pictures per second. But then if you set it to 60 frames per second, it'll take double the amount of pictures per second. Why you need to do that is because once you take that 60 frame per second clip and move it into your editing software, you can half it. So you go to speed/duration and you go to 50% speed. So what that does is it tells the editing software that it's pretty much okay to cut every other photograph in that second. So that 60 frames per second becomes back to 30 frames per second, which is the normal frame rate for what looks normal, and makes everything slow motion because you shot it sped up. So that's one way I do slow motion in my vlogs. And then another way is that you can speed ramp it. For this one, let's say I don't want this whole clip to be all slow motion. Let's say I want it to start normal and then it slows down. See this FX, this yellow FX box? I can hit Control, click, and then go to time remapping and hit speed. And so what this does is it changes all the settings for this clip to speed. And then I'm gonna hit this pen button. I'm gonna mark where I want the slow motion to start. Catching my attention like on the start of never, which is right here, I'm gonna slow it down. So I'm gonna mark it right there. And then I'm gonna go back to the pointer tool and I'm just gonna drag this line down to 50%. And if you guys noticed, on the left side over here, it stayed up, and then over here, it's at 50. And so what that did is this part of the clip is normal 60 frames per second, and then it speed ramps to half of that, which is back to the normal 30 frames per second. But because I shot in 60, it's slow motion. This is how it looked before. Catching my attention like I never would have thought. And then this is how it looks after the speed ramping. Catching my attention like I never would have thought. I tried to comprehend. And because it's sort of too abrupt, it's like all of a sudden it's normal and then bam, it's slow motion. I want to make that transition a little smoother. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this clip up a little bit right here where I marked it. Move that to the right to make more of a smoother ramp. Catching my attention like I never would have thought. I tried to comprehend it, but I knew it from the start. That's a little bit better. You work a little differently than anyone I've ever known. And so I want to move all this down. I'm gonna cut this, go to effects, add audio transition, exponential fade. And so I hope that that whole slow motion lesson makes sense to everybody. And I'm sure that every editing software has that feature. You just have to look at the right places and know where to find it. The next part of what I do in my vlogs is I have establishing shots to show that, look, here's where I am and this is what we're about to do. So I have this establishing shot right here at Dollar Tree. I usually like to do a downwards pan, or sometimes I like to go forward or do a zoom. But usually in my vlogs you'll see a lot of downwards pans. On top of that, I like to do a time for when we went to this place that day. It's 2:40 p.m. So instead of having to type out everything, I just go to my presets. I go to time, location, and see that 520 that just pops up. I can just change that and write 240. And I like to do a glitch feature. I just hit the C, cut, go 2 frames to the right, cut, and then 2 frames to the right, cut. This will be where the glitch happens. But before I do that, I gotta change this one to the location, dollar store. Since this is sort of where the glitch happens, these 2 clips, I'm gonna highlight them and then I just drag and then it becomes really glitchy. And the preset on Premiere, if you have it, is wave warp, and I changed the wave type over here to noise. And these are my settings if you guys want to do that in your videos, but don't, because that's my thing. I'm just kidding. So it's not very realistic to just see that, so a lot of it is also the sound. I go to glitch, and then I have a bunch of glitch noises, and my favorite one is glitch 3. And so I really only want this portion right here. And you could also just, instead of having to cut, you can also just drag in and out. So here is the final product. From the start, you work a little. Amazing. You guys can see that I only did less than 45 seconds of work, and it's taken me like an hour or so of editing. You guys can see how much work it really takes to make these videos. So please give it a like, subscribe, and let your boy know how much you like these videos if you like them. If you hate them, hey, that's fine. You know, just to know that I'm putting in work to put these videos out for you guys. We just threw out the trash. Just got errands to run, so we're gonna go do that before the events of tonight. Catching my attention like I never would have thought. I tried to comprehend it, but I knew it from the start. You work a little different. In terms of everything else that I've left to do, everything sort of pretty much repeats, and it's just like a cyclical process. Thank you guys so much for watching and enduring that. I hope that was of some help. Mondays through Fridays I post videos. If you guys want me to do any sort of similar videos in the future, let me know down in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next Life Journal episode. Y'all know me now. Y'all know me now. Y'all know me now.